for the traditional house hacking, buying a house, renting out bedrooms, or the multifamily route, is there any tips or steps that someone that's totally new can take to get started?
So it starts with finding a little bit self-serving in this, but it starts with finding a good real estate agent. I know the question is always, should I find a lender first or a real estate agent first? I like having them reach out to the agent first because any given real estate agent that's doing deals in a market is going to have their preferred local lending partners, and they'll be able to articulate to you why. But it's just, it starts with analyzing the deals that are out there that are within your price range, and then, deciding this is the type of property that I'm comfortable getting in for a period of time. Which is another thing that's really great about house hacking, is that every single time you buy a piece of real estate, you sort of assume that this is going to be your forever home. So I need to find everything that I'm looking for all at the same time without spending too much money on it. But the reality is, both as a real estate investor and an owner of real estate myself, like, I was in that place 6 months and I was like, okay, actually, no, I want to buy a bigger house in a better area and I want to do it as soon as possible. So I think we as a generation need to normalize the starter home concept, that you should not expect to be buying your first home to be an improvement upon the home that you were raised in, because that was probably a move up home in your parents' story.
For your parents, right? Yeah. It's knowing the basics and starting with that and working your way up.
Yeah, buy the best home that you can in the best area that you can as soon as you can, and always go bigger.
The reason we ask you to do everything that you do and write the book is because you've done it, right? So can you tell us about one of your projects of house hacking, a story or that you've been through, one of your scenarios?
Well, I mean, it started with buying a single family home, and it wasn't the best area in Tucson, but it was what I could afford. I moved to Tucson on something of a dream job. It was a lot of fun to do it, but it didn't really pay me that much of a salary. So I got into a home that made sense for me, held on to it for a period of a couple of years, then got into, like I had mentioned, my triplex. I like that I'm a big cyclist down in Tucson. That's what initially brought me over to the West Coast, and it's right by the bike path, and it's right by a great dog park. So that's what I was looking for at the time.
So did you sell the house to get the triplex, or what happened there?
So currently still own both houses. I'm in the process of selling the first one, not because I don't want to own it anymore, but just through playing dozens of rounds of cash flow, I realized that if I got my equity out of this property, I could deploy it in a way that's more advantageous than just sitting on it and holding it forever. I think it's really good advice for an experienced investor, to tell someone that doesn't own any real estate that you should never sell anything that appreciates in value. But once you're in the game and you realize the concept of return on equity, and you realize that, hey, I actually know a lot more than I did 5 years ago when I bought this property, and I'm in a much better position to make a better decision. So it makes sense for me to get rid of that one. But yeah, you buy it with the intention of holding it forever.
So then you went into the triplex. What happened?
Right into the triplex. So I found the deal that everybody is looking for, which is to say it's a good location. It's got great bones. The exterior looks fine. There's plenty of parking, but the inside needed everything.
Okay.
So full cosmetic updates. We did paint, we did flooring, we did new lighting, kitchens, bathrooms. And when I say that, talking about the 2 rental properties right now, I'm still slumming it in my owner's unit. Okay. We'll get around to renovating that one. And that was a tough realization for me as well, is I realized that I'm not going to spend money renovating my owner's unit just to enjoy it. I'm going to have to do that right before I move out into the next place that I end up slumming it in. But now the goal is to buy a single family home in downtown Tucson, something walkable to Congress Street, 4th Avenue, something historic, something in there.
Why?
Well, in short, there's a big bike race down in Tucson called the El Tour de Tucson. It always happens a Saturday right before Thanksgiving. And my parents, who live in Nashville, Tennessee, are effectively always going to come visit me this time of year to watch me do that race. So I don't want to have to drive to the start line anymore.
So, and the reason why I asked you that is because it's formulated, your investment decisions are formulated around your why, and your why is your enjoyment for cycling. And that's what I try and drive home, and that's what Azreia tries to drive home to investors that's getting started, is to know that baseline underlying factor of why you're getting into real estate and what you're trying to accomplish. And you're a direct representation of that, because you know, okay, I'm moving from point A to point B to point C, and all of it is wrapped around my why. So, man, I just wanted to drive that home.